Boom. I'm going to hit the go live button. It's going to capture me at a random weird time. We're live. Okay, we've done it. Haven't done a YouTube stream in a while. I like doing them for those watching after the fact or for those waiting in the stream. Thank you for tuning in. We do lots of live streams over on Twitch, which is more built for live streaming, but I do enjoy, I know some people don't go on Twitch. Some people don't follow me over there. So I do enjoy going live on YouTube every once in a while, typically about once a month. I'll do a live stream, and I figured, hey, the January's almost over and I haven't done a YouTube stream, so might as well answer some of your questions, kind of recap what we've heard about over the past month. And hello from Atlantic Canada. Wow, that's pretty high up there. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Make a Tailosive finance channel. Yeah, I'd rather do that on talks anyway. It usually pertains to me directly. But yeah, feel free to ask whatever you want, and I can also ramble as much as I need to. So don't worry. If you don't feel like asking anything, I'll just keep talking. Someone was already asking, actually. Oh, gee, YouTube's giving me chat issues already. I haven't seen you in forever. I know, Randy. I haven't heard from you since like 2003, I think. Wait, we should talk more. I don't know why we don't talk more often. Recommendation for Blue Switch keyboard. Blue Switch keyboard? That must be something I'm missing because I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up real quick. Blue Switch keyboard. Ooh, autocorrect is already bringing it up. That's probably because Google is listening. That does not look like the type of keyboard I enjoy. Some people go crazy with mechanical keyboards. I'm not a fan. You know, I'm a traditional, still using the same old keyboard my iMac Pro came with. But hey, it works. It's reliable. I've got no complaints. And, oh, actually, just changed my mind. You reminded me. I do have complaints. I don't need the numeric keypad. Some people do, maybe accountants, someone who does all kinds of math or something. But I really prefer the look of the cleaner, like, Magic Keyboard that ends right there. But they don't make a space gray version of that. So I'd be kind of okay if they made a smaller, more compact space gray keyboard. I would totally go with that. Because I don't need all these numbers. Seriously. Like, page up, page down, the home key. What does that even do? The end key? Is this for pages? We got a delete button here. We got a delete button here. We got a function button here. We got a... Well, actually, we don't have one over here. But we have all the other F keys up here. I never use any of this crap. This is all this is wasted space. I've never been a fan of that. No, I never use it. So I'm kind of cool if they ditch that. But other than that, JJK says, do you use HomePod Minis? I don't. I've never seen one or tried one. Mainly because... I felt like when it came to the HomePod Mini, which honestly I think is going to be a huge success. It sounds awesome from what I've heard other people say. I haven't heard the HomePod itself, but it sounds like a really solid, like, you want a more affordable smart speaker, but you don't want it to sound like complete trash. Because I do have Google Home Minis and I have an Echo Dot, but I didn't pay for them. They were basically free gifts from somebody. And they don't sound very good. The sound quality is like a little bit better than a smartphone. Essentially, it's not great. It's like a little bit better than an iPad or something like that. But the HomePod Mini probably actually has some like decent sound quality. But I've debated one because I've not needed HomePods as much since I started working from home, and I only have one HomePod left. But I don't use it very much since I canceled Apple Music, and I call myself a sheep. I know it's crazy, but to be honest with you, I'm kind of debating like trading in my old HomePod just for a HomePod Mini, just so I can have one that's more recent, because I don't really blast that at full volume very often. And I think a HomePod Mini would probably cover what I need a HomePod for, which is not much, to be honest. So, hey, Daniel Holloway's in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Avid video editors need the numerical keyboard. You know, I edit video professionally, and I edit 3 to 4 videos a day. And I've never needed the numeric keyboard for all my editing. I don't know. Maybe avid users, I guess. I guess I thought you meant like avid video editors, as in like people who edit video. But then I remembered Avid is a editing program. My sister used it in film school. Is YouTube better than Twitch? Not for all things. YouTube, I think, is probably better for edited content, but Twitch is still better for live streaming. But either way, I like interacting with all the platforms. Trade in some other stuff for a Mac Mini. Yeah, I got to trade in all the stuff so we can get a free Mac Mini. They have a good deal going on them right now. Do you think Apple will ever stop using glass on the back of the phone? I feel like it's a liability and no one will ever see it anyways. Maybe, but I think Apple might like the fact that it's a liability because that means you should get Apple Care or get a new iPhone case at $40, $50. So they kind of have money to directly benefit from making the iPhone more fragile. And like the best-selling phones in the world all have glass backs right now, at least. So I don't really see them moving away from it anytime soon. Plastic. Apple doesn't have a positive history with plastic-backed phones. I mean, excuse me. The one time they tried that was the 5C, and people didn't like it. So even though it was a steel enforced, it was like durable, heavy duty plastic, kind of like the same plastic they use with AirPods and stuff. But I think between the wireless charging and the durability aspect, and now with MagSafe, of course, they probably just want to keep going on glass. But Space Ghost Coast to Coast, thank you for the super chat. Sorry, he said, I got the S21 Ultra and I don't feel betrayed. Well, that's good. I would hate for you to feel betrayed on your phone purchase. That's a very expensive phone. And for the record, I don't have really anything against it. I didn't find it very interesting, so that's why I didn't want to review it. But hey, Ben Geskin's in the chat. Hey, Ben, he says, what iPhone 13 feature are you most excited about? That is a great question because it sounds incredibly boring to me. I really don't think the iPhones are going to be very interesting this year. I think I'd have to say 120 hertz probably just because that's what I really, really wanted last year. And the fact that no iPhone had 120 hertz is what kind of pushed me to consider getting a more affordable iPhone and try something different. Normally I go for the biggest screen possible, but I was just so underwhelmed with the Pro series last year. It was like LiDAR is not that great and the telephoto lens isn't that great. Even the sensor shift image stabilization didn't wow me as much as I was hoping. So I tried the 12 Pro Max and I was just like, it feels like when I'm dropping this kind of money for a phone, I shouldn't be like compromising in different ways. So I would much rather invest money into a phone that I want to succeed, which is funny because the 12 mini is not doing very well. But I'm loving it. Like, I have not met that many people. I can't think of a single person, honestly. Everyone, I know this is anecdotal evidence, but everyone in my personal life who got a 12 mini loves it. And they have nothing but nice things to say about it. And there's always people who don't like the 12 mini that are saying bad things about it. But if you're considering upgrading and you're like, 12 mini is too small, I won't like it. I have been a Pro Max or like plus-sized iPhone user for so long, and yet I still really, really love this thing. So I would heavily consider the 12 mini and recommend it to a lot of people. Battery life is a little not so great, but we're all at home during the pandemic. You got chargers at your phone, in the car, you got chargers at work, you got chargers. It's fine. I don't know. Stefan, I don't know how to say that. Stephanie, thank you for the super chat. It says, love your job, Drew. I love it too. I like how you worded that. Love your job. It's not like, I don't like your videos. I just love the position you're in. I totally get that because this is the job of a lifetime and I'm enjoying it very much. So I appreciate the support. And for the record, I'll do my best to read the chat. I don't expect I don't expect super chats. I would do these regardless of the donation, so don't feel like you have to do them or anything like that. I'm having fun. I'm talking to people about things I'm interested in. That's all this comes back to. Johnny Vital said, I just purchased the iPhone 7 Plus 32 gig as a backup phone for 120 euros. Do you think it's a good investment? 120 euros is pretty cheap for a 7 Plus. Yeah, it's not terrible. I mean, I don't know how many years of software support that's going to get. Might get discontinued next year, possibly. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad investment if you could comfortably afford it. Sure, but yeah, why not? Sure, I'm not going to make you regret that purchase. I'm glad you check with me, though. Thank you for be like, I don't know if I made the right call here. I'm going to check with Drew. He's live. Did I make the right move? I'm like, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Cole Crawford, thank you for the super chat. When are you getting a Tesla? Are you saving for the Model S or still getting the 3? I don't really plan on getting any EV right now because I will go weeks without driving these days. Me and my wife did the math. It's very hard to justify a purchase. Even a $40,000 Tesla is a hard purchase to justify because I barely drive anywhere. Especially now that my wife and I are both working from home, we will go several weeks without going anywhere. And we did the math and calculated we drive on average probably less than. Well, my sister was trying to FaceTime me. I feel bad. I'm working, hon. I'll talk to you later. She should be subscribed to me. She would know that. I'm kidding. I haven't talked to her in a while. I should talk to her. Anyway, we drive less than 5 miles a day. So when you're driving as little as I am, don't get me wrong, I love Teslas, and I have lots of friends with Teslas, so I get to try them out and drive them around and stuff. So I have like ready access to them most of the time. If like full self-driving beta comes out to everybody, I'll be able to do a video on it. But for the most part, do I need to drop all that money myself just so that the car could sit in the garage all day? Probably not. Let's see. I kind of messed up my 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch. You think it would be better to fix it or wait for new laptops? Or, I mean, it depends which 13. See, this is what I hate. There's so many different variants of the 13-inch MacBook Pro. I don't know. If you only need 2 USB-C ports, I would recommend just getting the M1 version now. Honestly, I would not even recommend the M1 MacBook Pro. Just get a MacBook Air. The touch bar is cool, but you don't need it that much. Just get, like, if you're fine, the M1 chip is going to be faster than anything that came out in 2018 for the MacBook Pro. And if you're comfortable with 2 ports, then just get a MacBook Air. It's thinner, it's lighter, it's fast, it's powerful. You can do amazing things with the M1. I'm kind of missing the M1 MacBook Air right now, and I use an iMac Pro. There's only a few circumstances when the iMac Pro is a little bit better, but for the most part, like real-time editing and stuff, M1 chip was incredible. I also unboxed that live on this channel, I just remembered. And the torture tests I was throwing at it with Final Cut were incredible. So, yeah, anyway, sorry I can't keep up with everybody's message. I'll try my best. Randy says, I love you. I love you too, Randy. Thank you. Alex Super Chatted says, I'd be interested to see a tour of your setup. Have I done one? I mean, I do a lot more office tour type stuff on Tailosive Talks, just because I feel like it might not be as relevant to tech as much as like people watching on the tech channel are more like talk about the next iPhone or talk about, you know, new MacBook or, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas if I'm just like, this is my desk, I feel like it's not as related, but why not? I probably should. I haven't done one in a while. I think the last desk tour I did was like, January, yeah, it must have been a year from now, over a year from now, probably. It's changed a lot, and it's not very clean in here, which is probably why when my office is so dirty and stuff, I don't feel very motivated to like, let me document this and put it online. Everyone will judge me, yay! But yeah, I'm going more minimal now. I used to have like all these monitors and stuff, but I realized that I was just kind of throwing up windows on different monitors for no reason. So I decided to go back to just my iMac Pro, and that's it. And it's been good. I'm still happy with it. It's honestly aged very well considering it's over 3 years old now. Later in 2021, my iMac Pro is going to turn 4 years old. And the fact that it's still editing multiple 4K at 60 videos every day is pretty impressive. So for an Intel Mac, not that bad, but also super duper pumped for that redesigned iMac. I want to see it now. I want it yesterday. I want to buy it. Can't wait to see it. I'm so pumped. Hey, we got Nick in the chat too. Good. Everybody's here. I'm not going to say your last name, but Brain, thank you for the super chat. No question, just an appreciation of your work. Love. Wow, thank you very much. You don't have to donate with it. You know, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Nick's man, I'm going to shower now. Okay, thank you for keeping us posted on when you shower, Randy. We need to know. M1X to have 8 performance cores and 4 efficient. That sounds incredible. I know it's not exactly linear with the performance cores, but imagine the M1 chip, but even twice as fast. Holy crap. Like, it's going to be incredible. I'm talking about the nerdy part of the setup, not this is my desk. Well, I know what you mean. I mean, I've got stuff on my desk. Not much has changed. I got all kinds of crap on my desk right now. Here's a candy bar. Shouldn't be eating that, but I have a Magsafe puck. I actually have my Mac Mini, which I'm not using. I'm actually going to trade this in later, I think. But it kind of looks like if Apple made a YouTube play button, you know? So I kind of like just having it as decor, and I can put it in jiggle mode or whatever, you know. It's just kind of a nice desk ornament, you know. Some people have that kind of stuff. I also have this camera on my desk, Blackmagic. Someone was asking earlier, what's the best camera for shooting videos? Really depends on your budget. That's the first question. What are you going to do with your camera? Oh, I want to film videos with it. How much are you willing to spend? Because the sky's the limit when it comes to video cameras. There's really great cameras that are north of $10,000, but I probably wouldn't recommend that if you're the type of person to go on a YouTube stream and be like, what should I get for recording videos? Probably shouldn't be dropping 12 grand. But if you're just starting out, don't feel like, you need a heavy duty camera. I think you can make really entertaining and insightful videos with iPhone footage. I think in the old days, I used to save up money and buy little camcorders, and those were like kind of the best video cameras you could get at the time. But I wouldn't recommend that anymore. These days, if you're not willing to drop probably, I don't know, $800 to $1,000 on a video camera, if that's too high, then I just say use an iPhone. Get a decent iPhone, because they can record 4K at 60 with great res, great dynamic range. And if you're just starting out, iPhone's plenty good for what you need to at least start getting a camera rolling and start editing and stuff. And that's a great start. It's not something I might recommend if you're like trying to turn it into like a full-time thing, but most people can't just become a full-time channel instantly. So you got to start somewhere. iPhone's a great place to start. Let's see. The redesigned iMac will still have the Apple logo on the bottom, I think. Not according to Bloomberg. Most of the latest reports say it won't have a chin or anything. It's just big iPad Pro on a stick, which is what I want. You clearly need the $2,500 Xperia Pro to use as a viewfinder. I watched that. I loved that video. That was cool. Marquez did a video on the Xperia Pro. Very specific use case, but I kind of dig that. Whenever phones make like highly specified functionality like that, I kind of love it. So that's dope. I would not have known about that phone if it weren't for Marquez. So they should probably thank him for making that. Best camera is Sony Alpha 1 for $6,500. Yeah, well, I was going to say, if you're going over $1,000, then the options become a lot more plentiful, whether it be like the camera I'm using right now that I recommend a lot is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera that can take some really gorgeous video, interchangeable lenses and all that, CFast cards, USB-C, which I like. You can write directly to external SSDs, records to SD cards, CFast cards. Sony makes some really good ones, though. Sony has some great video cameras as well. The one he mentioned was good. I don't need a GoPro, but GoPros are not great for, I don't know what to say, like the type of tech vids I do where you're just kind of standing and talking to a camera. I don't know if I would recommend a GoPro for that. It's just a little too wide. It's better for, action outdoor stuff. You want to put a camera on your bike or something like that. But also hyped Red Hydrogen 1. Yeah, Red Hydrogen 1, I was like, what? I don't know. The performance didn't even look that good. But the Xperia, at least I could justify as like, okay, you got a high-resolution viewfinder with a great battery, which is good for this camera. And with the cellular, you can live stream with it. I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. I don't plan on buying it, but that's cool. Jim Jan John, that's a fun name. He says, do you think the regular iPhone 12s, not Pro, will start at 128 gig storage and have LiDAR? Leaks indicate it will. Leaks in January are never very accurate. Something to keep in mind if you go back throughout the years and see what people were saying about the iPhone of that year in January. Never very close. But I would say probably reasonable to assume 128 gig. But at the same time, this is Apple, and I was pretty shocked that they decided to keep 64 gigs around last year, and they did. But the truth is they probably make a bunch of money off of iCloud storage, and if they keep shipping phones with low storage configurations, they get to keep upselling you on iCloud, which sucks, but it's just a fact. And as Apple pushes towards services revenue, something tells me like the part difference between including 64 gigs or 128, it's barely anything. Like, it would not have cost Apple very much to include 128 over 64. I don't even think it would hurt the profit margins. It's like a few pennies off. So I think the decision to keep the lower end iPhones at 64 gig either has to do with them pushing iCloud or them wanting the Pro iPhones to have a good enough justification of the price. Because already, last year at least, it felt like the Pro iPhones barely had enough going for them over the regular 12 and 12 mini. It's funny that everybody bought the 12 Pro anyway, but they needed the excuse me, they needed the Pro iPhones to have something over the regular iPhone. So they're like, okay, we'll throw in some extra RAM, some extra storage so that it feels like they're more Pro oriented. But in reality, I feel like they could have done 128 last year, but they didn't. And whatever the reason was, could apply with the 12S again. I hope I'm not right about that. I would obviously much rather prefer 128 across the board, but I'm just saying they probably had some services push or some lineup argument as to why they had to keep the lower end iPhones at 64. So I don't know. My iPhone 7 is on the brink of dying. I hope it survives until the 13 comes out. It's killing me. I hope it does too, hopefully. Sorry it's on the brink of dying. I would like a cheaper iPhone 12 Pro Max with 64 gigs. That would be nice as an option, but my point is the amount of money Apple saves by including a 64 versus 128, it's like a couple pennies. So if they did start the 12 Pro Max at 64 gig, it would probably have still been the same price. So I just count your blessings. We got 128 as standard. Let's just be happy we got it at least on one of the models. What are your thoughts on green bubbles? Sickening. Not iMessage, just green bubbles in general. You know, just people blowing bubbles that are green. You're like, what is your opinion on that? Let's see. I wish I could get one of them new Mac Minis for the new chip. We've talked about it a lot on the podcast, which will drop on Monday. But if you guys are considering getting a Mac Mini on B&H, they are selling it for $650. So it's like $50 off on the cheapest way to get the M1 chip. There is like no computer, Windows, Linux, I don't care what computer, there is no way you can get a cheaper processor with that I/O of like the Thunderbolt ports and that plug and play, as in, you know, I'm sure there might be some chip you can buy that might compete with the M1, but it's just a chip. You got to supply your own motherboard and everything else. No, it's just the Mac Mini, assuming you have a monitor and keyboard and everything, there's no more powerful machine you can get for $650. There's just incredible performance at that price point. So highly recommend that if you consider it. What do you think? How much useful will be AirTags? I don't really lose stuff that often. The last time I recall losing something was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I just misplaced my keys and I was pretty freaked out because they were like my car keys, my apartment keys, and my office keys all on one ring, and I couldn't find them. And I was looking for them for probably like 3 or 4 hours. And then my wife, well, at the time we were just dating, but my wife found them in my backpack, and she was like, oh, they're right here all along. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't think to look there, because I normally don't put my keys there. I guess someone put them in there or they got dropped in there at some point. But that was it. It was like 4 hours of panic like 4 years ago. And since then, I've like never misplaced or lost something. And I'm home all the time. You know, I don't really lose stuff a bunch. So I wouldn't find AirTags very useful myself, but I could see them being very useful to people who do want to keep track of all that stuff. I mean, Samsung already beat Apple to the punch with the smart Galaxy Smart Tag type thing. So they were pitching that you could put it on like your dog or something, which I don't have one. But if you want to keep track of your dog with an ultra wideband chip, there you go. I guess not very useful to me, but I could see them being a hit if they're priced right. But I have a feeling they're not going to be priced very well. Sprigfan23 says, you've said that Apple Silicon is not going to improve gaming on the Mac, but what can Apple actually do to make the Mac a serious gaming platform, or is it just too late for them to compete? Well, that's a good question. I've talked about it a lot, and I'm pretty confident in saying that Apple can't do anything really. The main issue, maybe not anything, that they might be able to. The main thing that brings people to gaming platforms, I know this sounds oversimplified, but it's the truth. What brings people to gaming platforms are games. Compelling, interesting titles that people want to play. And most of the major AAA game titles optimized for pre-established gaming platforms. And macOS is just not a very established platform that is known for having a lot of people in the gaming community. And that results in the major game devs saying, we don't really feel like optimizing or building our game for the Mac because we're not going to get much out of it. There's not many gamers there. So why would we spend all this money? Or even if it's easy, you know, I know that they're making it easy to be like, well, you can play iPhone and iPad games on the Mac. But the truth is those games are so totally different from the games we optimize for the Xbox or the PlayStation or PC. Those are all optimized and built from a fundamental level differently from mobile games that are built for touch or built for the smartphone. And being able to play smartphone games on the Mac, I don't really feel like is going to change very much. And it has nothing to do with, that's the oversimplification I think people have is, well, Apple's going to be really good at gaming now because Apple Silicon has great graphics and great performance. It's like, it never had anything to do with performance. Even before Apple Silicon, there were plenty of Mac machines that had great graphics and great processing power, and they could, if a game was optimized for it, they could play games very well. But most games aren't. And that's simply because Apple has different graphics engines than most, you know, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It makes a whole lot of sense as a game dev to optimize for PC because, you know, there's a bunch of gamers there. And because Microsoft owns Windows and Xbox, optimizing for both the Xbox, huge selection of gamers, and optimizing for PC, huge selection of gamers, saves them a lot of money and it's going to be worth it. Whereas optimizing for the Mac, doesn't matter how great the Mac is, doesn't matter if it has game-changing graphics and it's way better performance-wise than any PC, still doesn't really matter because there's not a huge game selection there and people aren't going to move to that platform. You know, like the Nintendo Switch is very popular and people love playing with it because there's amazing games that Nintendo has to offer on the Switch and people enjoy playing those games. The hardware on the Switch itself is really not that powerful. Like the game resolutions they run at the frame rates, they're not really amazing. In fact, I bet, you know, smartphones probably can outperform the Switch in regards to graphics and stuff, but it's still a very popular platform because of the titles present on it. So what Apple would have to do to make the Mac kind of a serious gaming platform is probably have to buy out or partner with major game developers and start coming up with some exclusives. And I don't mean Apple Arcade. Okay, Apple Arcade games are all built for the iPhone and iPad. I've tried myself to play arcade games on the Mac. They're not well optimized. They're not. It's like, yeah, they run, but they still have like low power mode options, and they're still optimized for touch. And you know, how long has Apple been making 5K resolution displays, and yet none of the arcade games can play at 5K? You know, it's like, it's something I don't think Apple's too passionate about because they know there's probably not much money to be made there, whereas they seem to be really, really pushing gaming on the mobile experience because that's where, you know, Apple makes billions of dollars off of games every year. It's just through the App Store, not the Mac. The Mac has kind of found more of its audience with productivity and video and audio engineering and software writing and that kind of thing. But gaming has always been its weak point. And the issue with gaming on the Mac was never a hardware problem, which is why I've always said Apple Silicon's not going to change anything because the hardware being weak was not the reason Macs didn't game. It was just software optimization. Let's see. Rusty Chain says, if the new Apple TV has a more traditional remote, I'm going to be forced to buy one. My wife hates the remote, but I kind of like it. She wins. I'm more with your wife on that one, Rusty. I'm not a fan of the Apple TV remote. I don't use an Apple TV anymore. I'm all in on the Roku. I know. I should really stop calling myself an Apple sheep at this point, but my TV has AirPlay, and I can control it from HomeKit. Like, I can turn my TV off and on from Control Center, which is cool, and I can do screen mirroring with it now. So Apple has kind of taken away a lot of the advantages that the Apple TV had, and that trackpad thing it's good on like the menu of tvOS when you're swiping between different apps, but that's not what most of my experience is. What most of my interaction with the TV is like YouTube. And the trackpad, third parties do not optimize for that little Apple TV trackpad very well. At least YouTube doesn't. And because YouTube is so clunky with that trackpad and they make it so hard to scrub around and skip things, it just became hard to interact with. So that's why I went with the Roku, because it's built into the TV, which means I only have one remote, which is my favorite thing. I hate having multiple remotes and different power and things to switch between. I like just having one remote that controls the volume, the inputs, scrubbing. I can do everything my TV needs. I don't have to have, and it's only one power cable, because the Roku is built into my TV. So it's just one power cable to the outlet. There's no little box. There's no little streaming stick. People are saying the Hulu interface is shockingly bad with Apple TV as well. That's from Josh. Josh LaRose, I remember you. How you doing? I'm surprisingly disappointed with like tvOS and the Apple, but I think it might have more to do with third parties. You know, if third parties were optimizing for tvOS and the trackpad more, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But the fact that they're not optimizing and all these TV applications are just like, most people have a clicker, just build it for the typical arrow keys style remote. And that's what everyone optimizes for. The trackpad is just terrible. So yeah, that's why I sold my Apple TV. I had one for a while, but I was like, this is annoying. It's just not even working very well. Adith Shamil says, do you think HDR will be standard now that regular people can shoot it on their iPhone? Nope. I have a feeling it was just a marketing thing and might be axed like 3D Touch. I don't know if it'll be axed like 3D Touch, but I don't believe HDR cannot agree on a standard. Like, there's so many different versions of HDR, and it's annoying from a video editor's perspective. Like, you film something in Dolby Vision on your iPhone and you put it on your Mac and it's like, oh, I don't know what this is. And then if you try to export or view HDR content on a non-HDR display, it looks awful. And the HDR files are way bigger. There's like over a dozen different standards every camera. Oh, we do this type of HDR. We do this type of HDR. And this display supports this type of HDR. This display supports this type of HDR. There's no standard they can all agree on. And it makes the files larger. When you try to export content in HDR, it's like 10 times as big or something crazy like that. I don't know if it's 10x exactly. I'm just saying that I don't think it's that noticeable whenever there's a HDR content that plays on my phone. It just feels like they boosted the brightness twice. It doesn't even feel like the dynamic range is very good. It just feels like whenever I open an HDR video, it's like, it gets bright. Even if my display brightness was low, it's like I have to display all these nits in order to display HDR content, and then it doesn't show up or look good on other displays. So I don't know if they'll axe it entirely, but there definitely needs to be at least some kind of like universal agreed upon standard. You know, it's not like 4K. There's a few different variations of 4K, but for the most part, most industries agree like this is what a 4K resolution is. If a camera shoots 4K, they typically mean 3840 by 2160. And there's some different aspect ratios, but for the most part, it's like, okay, that's a 4K image or 4K video or 60 frames a second. Sometimes it's 59.95 or whatever, but for the most part, a second goes by, there are 60 frames. With HDR, it's like all over the place and they can't decide on something. So I'm kind of annoyed with HDR, to be frank with you. I feel like people wouldn't notice HDR unless you explicitly told them it's HDR. Like whenever someone uploads HDR content on YouTube, they have to put it in the title, and then the gearbox has to say, this is playing in HDR, for you to be like, oh, okay, there's the dynamic range. But yeah, it melts your face with brightness, exactly. They still sell the old Apple remote. Yeah, but you can't get the old Apple remote with the new Apple TV. So you got to spend I already think the Apple TV is too expensive. Like most streaming boxes or streaming sticks these days are gone down to like under $100, and you can get a 4K Dolby Atmos supported stick for like $50. And yet Apple's still out here charging like $180 for TV boxes. It's annoying. So it's already expensive, and then on top of that, it's like, oh yeah, get rid of this remote and buy an older one that works better. It's like, ugh, no thank you. I do not use mechanical keyboards, no. I've tried them, I don't like them. I prefer the thinner, narrow Magic keyboard style. I like these. These are great. I didn't mind the butterfly keyboard, to be honest with you. It just had a lot of reliability issues. If it never had any reliability problems, I would have taken a butterfly keyboard over a Magic keyboard, but a lot of people don't like the butterfly keys, so Apple decided to get away with it, and that's fine. I get it. I don't hate the Magic keyboard. I'm just saying I like thin keys because I feel like I can type faster. I don't have to push down as much. Yeah, Mike is filling us in the chat with all the different standards. There's HDR10, Dolby Vision, HLG, Advanced HDR, Technicolor, and more. That's only some of them. Do you think Apple will ever make other devices, e.g. TV, car, new line of phones, foldable, etc.? I mean, yeah, they've never made geo-tracking devices before, so AirTags is Yeah, they'll go into new departments, I'm sure. It's just a matter of which ones, but they seem to be prototyping foldables. I'm not convinced that they're going to release one unless they can come up with something really compelling. But yeah, I doubt the car thing. We talk about it on Tailosive EV a lot, but I personally think that the EV market is too competitive and profit margins are so thin, and Apple doesn't like that. So if Apple did make a car, it would most likely be like north of 6 figures. And I see it much more likely Apple just partnering with some car brand or buying out another car brand and incorporating their software because they want to be more focused on just the in-car experience. But the outside, the powertrain, the battery and stuff, that's all really difficult to make a profit off of. And Tesla is barely able to do it. And they have to be all vertically integrated. And Apple is not vertically integrated when it comes to their supply chains. So if they're outsourcing all production and stuff, I feel like if Apple cared about EVs, they would have made something by now, you know? Like, it's not necessarily a new thing. The fact that Apple didn't really enter the market much longer after Tesla unveiled the Model 3 means that, okay, they probably don't care that much. I mean, they've been hiring people, I know, and they've been investigating more of it, and we hear reports, but the timelines are always changing. That's the thing. Like, I remember reading about the Apple car in 2015, and they were like, probably hit the market sometime in 2020, and then it's just too late. Yeah, they would have had a chance maybe, I wouldn't even say 6 years ago. I would have said maybe even 3 years ago they would have had a chance. But now it's just, they haven't even unveiled a prototype yet. And there's so many companies that are behind Tesla, but they have prototypes, and they've unveiled concepts, but they're behind Tesla. Apple hasn't even gotten to the conceptual stage yet. So yeah, if they haven't done it now, I feel like it's too late. Like, Apple doesn't want to enter a market unless they have some kind of compelling, different approach that no one else can offer. And I feel like Tesla has kind of stolen the thunder out from an Apple car. Anything Apple could have come up with has already kind of been done. It's like, there's, it's all done on a screen and the steering wheel's minimal. There's no gear stocks. It's like Tesla already did that. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do it, but you see new leaks regarding iPhone SE3, love from India. Is there new leaks today? I mean, I did a video on it a while back. I don't think we're going to get one this year, but I'm curious if there was something I missed. I'll check. I don't see anything recently, but it sounds like it's basically going to be an iPhone 11 with an updated chip, something like that. Not sure. But hopefully, I think they like the SE starting at $399. That's the good price point. So you'll be able to get something that kind of looks like an iPhone 11 for $400 next year. All right, there you go. Is Apple One a good deal? I wouldn't recommend it. I feel like there's so many subscriptions and services these days, and we got to start resisting a little bit. We got to start pushing against all these companies coming up with their own services. So I would advise not doing it because Apple One pricing is definitely going to change. They're going to try to get you hooked in on all these services so that you feel like you have to use them or you can't stop using them. And the business model of services is very designed on hooking you in and making you feel. People are very less likely to cancel a subscription to something compared to not buying something. Once you're already using it and you're already paying for it, the human mind just has a tendency to be like, well, I'm already using that, so why would I stop using that? Like, if I cancel my subscription, that's like making my life less convenient. That's taking away from something I use. So no, I'm just going to go ahead and keep paying for that. So they get you roped into all these things as much as possible, and then they slowly raise their rates, and they'll be like, well, separately it would cost more, so Apple One is saving you money. So they use that business pitch that just gets you roped into it, and before you know it, you've spent thousands of dollars on things you can't even keep. So I wouldn't recommend it, but you do you, man. You guys do what you want. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money, but if you're asking me, I wouldn't do it. I use Apple Music pretty much all day, every day, so I just subscribed yesterday to the annual subscription. Well, yeah, do annual if you can on most subscriptions, especially ones you plan on using for a while, because that is probably the most affordable way to do it. But the monthly thing is dangerous. What do I think about the MagSafe wallet? At first, I was pretty annoyed or like confused why they made it. when I first saw it, I watched MKBHD's video with MagSafe wallet, and it was like falling off from his pocket really easily. And I was like, man, that's really dumb. And it's like $60. Why would Apple even make that? It feels like they didn't think it through. But I know so many people now that have bought one and they love it. Like I have a few friends that got one, and all of them basically just say, well, you just don't put the wallet on the outside when you put it in your pocket. You know, you put it on the back of your phone, and when you put it in your pocket, you do it screen outward, not screen inward, and then it stays on fine. And I met with a friend a few months back, I think, who had the MagSafe wallet, and I finally got to see it myself. And I was using the phone, and I was holding it, and I was moving it around and stuff, and then I pulled the wallet off, and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't actually that bad. I think it's stronger when you use it with a silicone case, which is a friend of mine who had one. That's what they had. They had like a silicone case and then the MagSafe wallet on top of that, and it felt more rigid and secure. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I didn't really have much bad to say about it afterwards. The only reason I wouldn't use it myself is I put more than 3 cards in my wallet, which is basically how much it can hold. So I'm like, I like my wallet. I have a Ridge wallet. It's made of carbon fiber, and it's very clean and minimal. So I like my wallet, but I wouldn't spend $60 on that. But most people I know really seem to like it. So anyway, when can we see budget iPad refresh with boxy body? Might be a while, because the boxy body, we just got it on the iPad Air 4, and Apple seems to, with the iPad lineup, kind of slowly work their way down with like, this is a pro feature. Okay, this is a mid-tier feature. Okay, this is an affordable feature. So we just got it to mid-tier, right? Because the iPad Air 4 just came out. So it'll probably be like another 2 or 3 years before they decide that something like the iPad Air 4 is even more affordable, like a $300 price point, because basically the squared off design mainly helps you be compatible with Apple Pencil 2 and the new Magic Keyboard case. So that's the main advantages of getting boxy. But from what I've heard of the iPad 9 this year, it doesn't sound like it's going to do that. It's going to still have Lightning, still going to have Touch ID, and still have a home button, which I'm bummed out about. But honestly, it's super cheap, so we shouldn't really be complaining. The big thing that we should be happy about with the iPad 9 this year is there's a decent chance it'll have a laminated display, which the budget iPad has not had for the longest time. So if this is the year they do it, then man, that is like, it'll basically be a rebranded iPad Air 3. It's like same bezel, same screen, same home button, laminated display, just with a newer chip. That's probably what the iPad 9 is going to be. And someday, just like how this year the iPad Air 3 is being rebranded as a budget iPad, 2 years or 3 years from now, iPad Air 4 will basically be a rebranded budget iPad. So in time, everything just works its way down, gets cheaper. How has MagSafe Duo been for you? I love it. And oh my God, I know it's expensive and stuff, but it has been fantastic. And I disagree with you, Mac, respectfully. I don't think MagSafe is a gimmick at all. I've been charging my 12 mini with MagSafe exclusively lately. Not lately, ever since I got it. And it has made regular Qi chargers feel so much less secure and so much more annoying. Like a traditional Qi charger, I feel like I don't get any like confirmation other than the light turning on, but it feels a lot less like satisfying. Now, when I drop my phone on MagSafe Duo, it's like a notable connection and you feel it snap on. And you can, with a regular MagSafe cable, I have one on my desk here, I use it to charge my AirPods, which because the puck is so small, you don't have to line it up as much like you did with traditional Qi chargers, which were a bit bigger. I would have to put my AirPods on them and make sure the light turns on and everything. With this, they can pretty much only go on it one way and it starts charging, which I love. And the fact that I can charge my phone while I'm using it, like this. And I can keep the cable to the side and keep charging. And MagSafe Duo, we took a little bit of a weekend trip a few weeks back. We quarantined and everything. It was safe. And we were like kind of in a hurry because we wanted to beat traffic and we wanted to get on the road quick. And we still had a full work day. So we had a full work day. We were doing all this stuff. And then we needed to pack up. And I was like, okay, let me get my charger. Done. I just folded it up and threw it in my pocket and I was done. I had all the chargers I need. And I just took the brick and put it in my suitcase, and it was like the fastest packing instead of having to be like watch charger, lightning charger, and all that other stuff. And I could just, it's so slim and it folds up so nicely. I'm very, very happy I bought Magsafe Duo. I know it's pricey, but it was just, there's no other like 2-in-1 charger like that that's so small that I can pack away so easily. So I love it. But normal Qi chargers now have become annoying because I feel like I have to check to make sure they were lined up correctly. You got to look for the little light, which back when that was all we had, I was used to it. But now that I have Magsafe, I'm used to getting this little extra verification whenever I charge. I'm used to this little click now and the phone making the animation and all that. I've gotten so used to that now I don't even want to use normal Qi chargers. I want Magsafe on everything. I want it in the car. Can Magsafe Duo charge your MacBook? No, it's just normal MagSafe puck. But the brick you charge MagSafe Duo with, that could charge your MacBook. Let's see. LS Motion says he loves a MagSafe charger. Good. I'm not the only one. What charge brick do you use for MagSafe Duo? I use the 18 watt. I have not had the need to buy a 20 watt brick. I know it doesn't charge at full speed, but my 12 mini has a very small battery. So even with a 5 watt charge, this percentage goes up very quickly. So I believe that with MagSafe Duo, it peaks out at like 12 watt or something like that, but that's the maximum the 12 mini can do anyway. But some people were reading that as a downside. People were like, oh no, the 12 mini only charges at 12 watt. Why does it charge slower? It doesn't charge slower. It's a smaller battery, so it uses less watts to charge the same speed as the rest of the iPhone. So I looked at that as an advantage because it means that you can charge it with MagSafe in the 18 watt brick and still get full speed. Whereas if you had a larger iPhone, you wouldn't get the full speed possible. It would stop at 12 instead of 15. But honestly, with fast charging, the difference between 12 and 15 is really not that noticeable. It doesn't stay at 15 for very long in the first place. It peaks and then slows down and tapers off. Charging has not been a problem. Either way, I love MagSafe. It's one of those awesome new like Apple ecosystem advantages now that I'm really sucked into. So now I just want to MagSafe everything. Throw a MagSafe puck wherever we can. Do you think iOS 15 will make widgets more interactive, or do you think Apple is stuck in their ways with just wanting widgets to be info at a glance? Asks Jim Jan John. I love that name. I personally, this is just a hunch, I could be wrong on this, but I personally think Apple was not set in their ways, and they probably wanted to make widgets interactive, but they intentionally and deliberately said, let's leave that out so that we'll have something to add later in the future. I mean, it might have something to do with RAM management. I don't know the ins and outs. It might be like, well, certain devices don't have enough RAM, and if you start putting buttons and options on the home screen, that's going to use up more battery, that kind of thing. I don't think it does. Androids have had interactive widgets for years, but I don't know the ins and outs of all that. But my guess is that they literally thought, we need something to add or fix for iOS 15, so let's leave out something like that. It's not a huge feature, but it's something that people could be happy or excited about next year. And Apple does budge on things. You know, for the longest time, they didn't support picture-in-picture on the iPhone. I remember people asking for that for 4 or 5 years, and then eventually, yeah, okay, picture-in-picture, you can have it now. And speaking of picture-in-picture, that's one of the reasons Twitch is the better live streaming platform, because you actually can do picture-in-picture on the iPhone and on the iPad when you're watching my live streams. So if you don't have a Twitch and you like live content, you want more live interaction like this, please check it out, because you can do that over there. And whereas here on YouTube, they don't support picture-in-picture on the iPhone or on the iPad, which sucks. So once again, point Twitch. Regardless, though, similar to picture-in-picture, I could see Apple budging on that. And maybe even as soon as this year, they're just like, you know what? You can have interactive widgets now. Here's the Now Playing widget. That's really the main one I wanted. Like when I heard they were adding widgets, I was like, yes, we can have a Now Playing widget, so I don't have to go to Control Center every time I want to skip or pause music. And they were like, no. The music widget actually is just a big app icon with your album. I'm like, widgets are kind of useless in their current state, honestly. Like my normal home screen doesn't use any widgets. I have to swipe to the side, and I have like one that I swipe through. But honestly, the widgets are too big or not useful enough to the point that I feel like they have to make them interactive at some point. It feels noticeably absent, and it also feels like something Apple could change their mind on very quickly. I just can't think. No, I have YouTube Premium. You can't do picture-in-picture on iOS. I think there's a way to do it through Safari maybe, but it's an annoying secondary step. It takes you have to open YouTube in Safari, find the video you want to watch, then hit full screen, then hit picture-in-picture, instead of just like on Twitch you can just tap one button and it's picture-in-picture. The weather widget is like the only good one. I don't know. I just think widgets need to be interactive. Yeah, you can't do much with the music widget at all. It's annoying. Dom Alpha, I agree. Most people I know don't even use the widgets. Most people I know that went to iOS 14 do not use any of the widgets. So it's like we finally got it, but they nerfed them. And I feel like Apple, I have not seen or heard of a good argument as to why they shouldn't be interactive. I've yet to hear that. Someone's like, well, it helps with the simplicity of the... It's like, no. I want to be able to skip or pause music without opening an app or going to Control Center. It just saves me a step. That's all I'm asking. Make me have to not... The beauty of widgets should be not having to open an app in the first place. That's what I think widgets could be good for on iOS, is like, I don't even have to open that app, or I don't have to activate this feature. I can just do it right from the home screen. And right now we can't do that, which is like, ugh. Yeah, I agree. It's bad. That's again why I'm going to promote Twitch in today's YouTube stream. But I know some people are just always going to refuse to get Twitch, so that's why I will once a month or so do a YouTube stream on occasion. Premium's awesome though. I love YouTube Premium. There's too many ads. I'd appreciate if Apple made it so you can resize the widget without removing it and adding the smaller one again. Yes, Tony, thank you. I totally agree. Why can't you resize the widget? You have to like completely get rid of it and add a new one. It's weird. Why do we keep all boxes from Apple? I don't actually. I've gotten rid of a lot over the years. I usually keep one box of every one product. So I used to collect... Probably a couple of years ago, I used to have like every Apple box ever, and then people were mailing me new Apple boxes, and I would just add them to my collection. But after a while, I was like, okay, people get it. I have a lot of Apple products. And then I started, trying to work more efficiently and not blowing all my money on rent, because that's what was happening. And I was like, okay, I want to buy a house and own it outright and be more smart with my money. And I don't need all these boxes. They're not doing anything. They're just kind of weighing me down, and they're collecting dust, and spiders were on them and stuff. So I got rid of a bunch of Apple boxes I wasn't using, and pretty much any duplicate. So I only have like one 10s Max box. I only have one iPhone 11 Pro Max box, like one iPhone 4 box. So I keep it somewhat minimal. One iPad Pro box, one Apple TV box, but I don't have like a bunch of anything anymore. So I think I still to this day have too many Apple boxes, so I'd probably get rid of some more soon. Too many. I collected a bunch, and then the joke started to get old. I was like, you know what? All right, lots of Apple boxes. We get it. The iPad needs widgets to be anywhere on the home screen. Yeah, I know there's some people that don't agree with that, but I think it can be done. I know it would probably... The main argument I've seen against it is that it would be very wonky when you do landscape versus portrait, when you push apps to the side and stuff, but it's Apple. Come on. Y'all guys can figure this out. Also, can we get app consistency between iOS and iPadOS? Yes, I want the weather app on my iPad. Yes, I want a calculator. Come on, this is basic 101. How about a calculator widget, Apple? Oh, wait, it's interactive. We can't have that anymore. What can Apple do to stop the Apple Watch from its recent stagnation? Ooh, I bet Apple's asking themselves that question a lot. Even in the Series 6 commercial, they were saying, like, it already does that. It already does that. It already does that. They were running out of things to add with the Series 6. I have it, but I don't recommend it. You guys notice I'm not using the always-on display. If I was recommending anybody get an Apple Watch, I'd say SE. If you have a Series 4 or newer, you don't need a new watch. Just keep your Series 4. But if you have something older than a Series 4 or you don't have one, just get an SE. SE is great. Do you return the product without the boxes, or you legit own them all still? No, I never keep the boxes. Maybe one maybe with one exception. I never keep the boxes for the products I review. If I return them, I return them in their original packaging. I don't know if Apple will give you a refund if you don't provide the original packaging, but there was some situation I had with my iPhone 8. It was like it fell off a charge. It fell off a nightstand or something as it vibrated a bunch, and it dented the side. And I took it to the Apple store, and I was like, "Hey, I got this dent in it. Can I get a new one?" And they were like, "Sure, here you go." And they just handed me a brand new iPhone 8 with the box and everything. And then I ended up being able to keep that box because I had two. So I was like, okay, cool. So other than that, pretty much every Apple product I buy to review and return, I give the box back. I want your old Apple box. That would be a lot of shipping, Warner Brothers. Warren Brother. That's very close to Warner Brothers. Sorry. The Series 5 ad was so dumb. It was showing all these things that the Series 4 could already do. Get used to that. I don't know what Apple could do, though, honestly. Like a redesign, maybe? I feel like the Apple Watch kind of stands out now because my iPad is squared off. My iPhone is squared off. The Apple Watch is kind of the last thing that's going to be rounded off. And I've seen some concepts I've liked of the squared off design. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a bad way to do it, and it mainly has to do with the thickness. If you keep the current Apple Watch thickness and square it off, it looks stupid. But if you do what Apple did with the iPad Pro as well as the iPhone, make it thinner and squared off, it can look really clean and really nice. So that's what I would like to see them do, is just some kind of design refresh so that it looks different. I can't think of many functional things they can add other than more health sensors, but I would not buy an Apple Watch for more health sensors. The blood oxygen thing is like downright useless. I used it once and it was like, okay, you have a great, I'll do it right now because I haven't done it in a while. 6 hours ago, my blood oxygen was 99%. I'm going to do it again. Let's see what my oxygen is. It turns out to be 0. I'll be like, oh God, I'm actually using this feature. 5 seconds. And the results are in. Wow, look at that. 100%. That's what it was when the day I unboxed it, and that's what it is today. And it's not like, no, it's not, it's not good. No, it wouldn't hurt the wrist because you'd still have the little glass bubble thing at the bottom. That's what's touching you. Also, yeah, the oxygen measuring is not very accurate on this part of your body, which is where the Apple Watch is. So it's not super accurate. If you wanted an accurate measurement of your blood oxygen levels, it would be better on your finger, but that's kind of awkward to take the watch off and put it up there. So yeah, I only kept the Series 6 because someone bought my Series 4 for a really good price, and the price of selling my Series 4 covered the price of this. So it was just like, do you want a old Series 4 or do you want a new product red Apple Watch? And I've wanted a red watch for the longest time. So if they had just released an Apple Watch Series 4 that was red, I would have bought that. I didn't get this for the blood oxygen or the always on display or anything. What's my wrist size? I don't know. I didn't get that solo loop thing. The solo loop felt dumb. I was like, I don't want to have to slip it off my fingers. I like being able to pull it off. You guys saw how easy that was? It's pretty easy to put this on. I just have the little buckle and it's on. But when I want to take it off, I can just go like this. One motion. Whereas with the solo loop, it's like, yeah. What's wrong with the Series 3? Series 3 is just too old. I'm genuinely shocked they're still selling it. I really, really thought last year, I was like, there's no way they can keep that around. You guys realize they unveiled the Series 3 in 2017 with that S3 chip? That S3 chip is like way slower than the Series 4 with the S4 chip or whatever. I think that was pre-64-bit. They went 64-bit on the Series 4. And the reboot time when you install updates as well. Yeah, thick wrists don't go well with the solo loops. That's me. I got a thick wrist. So, but also, even if my wrist wasn't thick, I just don't like the idea of having to pull the watch off like this and having to shrink my fingers. I like being able to just, boom. It's quick. It's fast. Though I do want a black Nike band. I don't want to pay for it, but I prefer the Nike bands and how they breathe. And before I got my Series 6, I mainly used a blue one, but I don't think the blue would go good with the red, so that's why I don't wear it. But if someone was just getting me something, they were like, I'll buy you a free watch band. Which one do you want? I'd be like, Nike in black. But it's $50. I'm not willing to drop. I don't need it that bad. Let's see. Why does Apple still sell the Series 3? Yeah, really. I mean, it's It came out in 2017. It's going to turn 4 years old this year. And it's currently also the reason I will not recommend a Series 3 to anybody is that it's the oldest Apple Watch that can get the latest version of watchOS, which means that there's a very likely chance of the Series 3 getting discontinued next year. So imagine buying your watch and then a year later it's like, you can't get any of the new features. Too bad. Michael, thank you for the super chat, says, what is your opinion on the, I always forget how to pronounce it, Hermes Apple Watch? I don't get it. I mean, it's a brand thing, I guess. It's like, it's the special custom brand. It's so gorgeous. I don't get it. I always look at that. I'm like, really? It looks kind of expensive for I don't know. It just seems overpriced for what it is. But Apple's going for a luxury thing. I get it. They're like, it's about the brand. People recognize. People come to know and love the Hermes look and fit. Like, it looks kind of stupid to me. I don't like the look of them personally. Let me look at a few. I haven't looked at any in a while. Hermes. Can I show it? Nah, it's going to be... Yeah, that looks weird. The double loop one that's like really skinny. It makes the Apple Watch look like a pocket watch. Yeah, they look fine. The watch bands, like, I'm sure they're built with, extremely high precision leather or something super fancy like that, but they look like watch bands you could get at Walmart, They don't look that different. It just looks like basic leather, but I'm sure it's not basic leather. And there's also some like sport band that's just orange, and that's Hermes. And they come with a software exclusive watch face. But I wouldn't use that watch face if I had it. The packaging is probably the coolest part. That's cool. Like the Hermes Apple Watch box is like all orange. And I think they still include... Do they still include the 5-watt brick with the Hermes? I forget. That's funny if they do. Let me look. No. Okay, it doesn't. It doesn't say it does. It just says charge cable. But it doesn't say 5-watt brick. Okay, I thought I read somewhere that the Hermes still had the brick with it. That'd be funny. Anyway, would you ever get a ceramic Apple Watch? I really wanted to for the longest time, but after buying Apple Watches so many times throughout the year, I've realized that the resale value of those things tank. It's not like an iPhone. You can buy an $1,100 iPhone and then sell it for like $800 the next year. So only you lost out on $300. But if you get like a ceramic Apple Watch, you're not going to be able to get like half of that money back. So I've always wanted one, but it's so pricey for what it is. And this watch works so fine anyway. Like maybe when I was less responsible, back when I was blowing all my money on big office spaces and stuff, I was like, it had the 5-watt brick for like a week and then they changed their mind. That's funny. Back when I was more irresponsible and I was blowing all my money like there was no tomorrow, I'd probably want a ceramic watch. But nowadays, I know that I would get it and I would say, wow, this looks so cool, I love it, and then I would forget about it and never notice it. So it's just kind of a waste. Anyway, I've been live for about an hour now, which is typically how long our Twitch streams do. But if you feel like your question was not answered or not addressed, please download Twitch. Follow me over there. It's just Tailosive Tech. You can use picture-in-picture so you can watch my streams while you're browsing other things. And how many iPhones do I own? For like day-to-day stuff, just one. But I have like probably 5 old ones that are like iPhone 5C, iPhone 4. I have an OG iPhone. Thank you, Simply Pops. I'm just catching the tail end of the stream. But please, if you want more live content, check me out on Twitch. I'll be live over there 2 or 3 times a week. I appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate the super chats. You guys are awesome. I love keeping up with you, and hope you have an excellent rest of your day. This is your Apple Pure. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.